Hello and welcome to the Non-Perfect Parents Club podcast. I'm Emma, a mama of 2 girls, an ex-nursery practitioner and the creator of the Non-Perfect Parents Club. The Non-Perfect Parents Club is all about support, honesty, truths, acknowledging that none of us can be perfect parents because it's impossible, and basically just speaking the unspoken. The only rule here is no judgment allowed. I love hearing people's stories. I love finding out about other parents, their family dynamics, their values and how they tick. So that is what this podcast is going to be. Some great honest conversations about parenting, hopefully delving into some nitty-gritty thoughts and feelings that will make us all laugh, cry and sigh a big sigh of relief. This episode is sponsored by Reading Fairy Lancaster. Reading Fairy Lancaster offers weekly sessions for children aged 1 to 4 years old to foster a love of reading for life through play and laughter. Songs, interactive storytelling, early phonics, games and book sharing. Give your child the best start with learning and development while playing and having lots of fun. Contact Lancaster at readingfairy.com for more information. Nursery sessions and birthday parties are also available. Please visit www.readingfairy.com/Lancaster or their social media platforms to find out more. Not local to Lancaster, please visit www.readingfairy.com to find a Reading Fairy near you. And if you'd like to find out more about Reading Fairy, head to Season 2, Episode 4 to hear Kelly talk to us about why Reading Fairy is the full package. Hello and welcome back to the Non-Perfect Parents Club podcast. Today I'm joined by a guest who wishes to remain anonymous, so if you recognise their voice, please respect their request to remain anonymous. Hello, welcome to the podcast, thank you for joining me. So if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your family dynamic and any heritage.
Hello, so I grew up in a very happy family with my mum, my dad and my 2 older sisters. There's 6 and 8 years between us, so my older sister flew the nest to go to uni when I was 10. My other sister went to college locally, but she sort of lived away not long after that. So my teens were spent majority of the time with just me and my parents. We're a really close family and this has helped to shape how I want my family to become. So I've got 2 children. They're 7 and 14 years old. I had my first child when I was 21, not long after I finished uni. And I've got shared responsibility of them both, my ex-husband, with 1 week on, 1 week off situation. It's not the dynamic I wanted or signed up for, but you learn to adapt for your children and for your own happiness, because that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. The main rule of the Non-Perfect Parents Club is no judgment allowed. Have you ever felt judged in your parenting, and can you tell us about it?
Yeah, quite a lot. I think it's far too easy for people to judge others or to give opinions when they aren't warranted. But I think it starts off as soon as you have a newborn. So many people, either people you know or people on online forums, are so quick to give advice or to judge your parenting. More often than not, it's the advice like, oh, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And you go, yes, I have, but I'm just wanting to rant and to blow it out to everybody. But then it's the silent judgment when they're in the teens. So you worry that people are thinking, oh, are they wrong and are they dressed nicely, or you just feel like they're constantly being judged when they're older and there's nothing you can do about that. You also wonder whether people judge you for the way you've raised them, and it's only recently that I'm learning to ignore what people may think, that I am doing a good job. It just takes a long time to recognise it.
And I think that's a really, I don't know if anyone's kind of highlighted that before on the podcast. I think that's such a really important point. Like, when they're small, there is loads of opinions and advice and stuff out there, and then as they get older, particularly teens, there isn't really anything, is there? And the kids are judged massively. They do one thing, one mistake, and people are straight on them. They judge them, and a lot of behaviour that gets judged, in my opinion, it's just teens being teens. And I don't say that lightly, because I'm very I have strong values on respect and all that kind of thing, but we all do it. The stuff we all do.
Yeah.
And
they're still learning and they're still trying to figure out their own way in the world.
Yeah.
And it's so much harder for them because they've got social media, which you can't get away from.
No.
And I've listened to some of your podcasts and your posts recently about phones, and I wish that I'd been one of those parents that said, no, you're not having a phone. but because my child was in year 6 when lockdown was kicking off, no, year 5, sorry, and we gave her my old phone so that she had that contact with her friends, because otherwise we'd just moved over to Morecambe from Lancaster. She wasn't anywhere near her friends. We couldn't hang out with people anyway, so we were worried that she would lose out on the friendship aspect of life. So gave her that phone, and now it's just it's so hard to put controls on mobile phones when you've let them do what they want.
Yeah, so. And the other thing is, even if you put controls on the phone and stuff like that, there's ways around it.
Yeah.
Like, if they want to, they will do it.
Mm-hmm. But you can take it off them, but then you run the risk that they'll just go the other way, and that's what we've had. So you kind of go, well, okay, keep it, because I don't want you to do anything that you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So.
And as a parent of a teen, you automatically, I feel, get blamed for any behaviours. You've brought them up wrong, you've not raised them right, blah blah blah, and that is, you're not responsible for your child's behaviour. Once they get to a certain age, you're not in control of them, are you?
No.
So I think teens do get massively judged, and like you say, parents of teens, it can often be silent, or if they do something, not so silent. But how do you feel about parenting? Good, bad? Has it changed you? Any regrets?
I think for me, I regret not having a career and a house and being settled before having children. So I was obviously straight out of uni and have rented ever since. And it's that whole stereotype of, if I've got my own house and I've got everything that I need and want in there, and then I've got everything that they would want and need. Whereas you kind of cobble it together, or I've certainly cobbled everything together a bit, furniture from here, there and everywhere, and you can't help but compare yourself to other people similar age with similar situation, but have got all of that, and they've got the career, they've got the money. So I would always compare myself, would my children have been happier in their childhoods if I'd had a mortgage, and if they'd had a holiday every year and all of that, because my kids haven't had that. And it's only since breaking up with my ex-husband that I've then got my career on track and started to sort my life out in that way, that I'm going, right, now I can afford to be able to take them on holiday, and I can start to save towards a mortgage. And you can't help but wonder, would they have had a better lifestyle if... So that's my only real regret, is not having financial stability before having children. But I wouldn't change it, I think it'd make it easier.
Do you think they would have had a happier childhood?
It's hard to actually answer, because I think they have had a happy childhood. Obviously they've had the turmoil of us splitting up, but they've never wanted for anything, we've always managed to get by. Okay, I've not had the holidays and things with them, but we've taken them places wherever we can. I think it's just hard because I was always working during like weekends and things. So my ex-husband would do the parenting on the weekend, and I would just have a couple of days off during the week. And then since my career changed, now I have weekends off, so I'm there. I'm more of a present parent than I ever was. So I think everything's just sort of changed over the last 5 years.
You wish you'd done that sooner than your career change?
Yeah, oh yeah. But it was always a financial thing that I'd have to go back and study to be able to then get onto the course I wanted, and it's just not being able to do that until more recently, really. So.
And I think hindsight is always like a huge
wonderful thing,
factor
hindsight.
in everything, isn't it? Like it's you get to a place and then you can sit there and look back and say, oh, I should have done this, or I wish I'd done that. Whereas when you're in the thick of it, it's not always possible, is it? And you can't figure things out, and you can't always see that you can do stuff, or you just can't do stuff.
No. And like I say to my oldest, I say now, right, it's fine, we're going to go on holiday next year. We've got to this point where I am going to be able to afford to do it, and eventually we might own our own home. And it's not as if they've not had what they wanted in the house and things, but I think it's like, my son's going to be outgrowing the little bedroom soon, so I'm going to have to look at getting a bigger home, and that costs more in renting. So it might be easier just to save up and get a mortgage and get on that property ladder and stuff. So it's, I think that's my main regret is that financial security beforehand.
Yeah. And are you happy to touch on it a little bit, like the how splitting up with your ex-husband
Yeah, that's fine.
affected the children? Did it affect them or?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, I suppose it has done, I would say. He would argue it hasn't.
Yeah.
But with the little one, he was... What would he have been? He was coming up to being 4.
Right.
And my oldest was 10. Because, yeah, it was sort of halfway through lockdown that it all sort of happened. He's not really been affected by it because he was just a bit too little to understand, and he was never old enough really to remember us being together, so it's never affected him in as much of a way, but certainly the teenager, it affected her in terms of sort of identity and going to high school, and well, this is why I think anyway, she would argue different and he would argue different, but from what I can see, it's affected her in so much that she's just testing the boundaries on everything and anything, and you know, getting to the point of she would experiment with like self-harming and things like that. I would go back as far as that's probably sort of a bit of a trigger to it in a way. I'm not sure quite how, but I don't know. In my eyes, you know, if we were still that family dynamic of the 4 of us, would that have happened? You know, would she have felt a different sense of security because there was the 4 of us, and because I didn't need to spend so much time with the little one and sorting him out all the time, giving her less attention? I don't know.
Yeah, and how did it affect you becoming obviously a single mum?
So I think taking on so much more responsibility, like it's you doing absolutely everything, and certainly this last year whilst I've been studying, I've realised that you getting up in the morning and sorting out definitely the little one, getting yourself sorted and just getting everything ready, doing everything you need to in the day, and then it gets to bedtime, you sort out the little one, you're then going, oh, right, I need to have my tea, whatever, put things away, tidy up, then sit and do some work, but then the teenager wants some attention. And then she wakes up and she needs the attention till like 11, 12 o'clock. I'm going to bed, then I'm knackered the next day.
Yeah.
So I'm slowly trying to figure out that balance and to kind of say to her, look, after 9 o'clock I can't, you need to just go and be on your own for a bit, or let's watch a programme together, or I don't know, but that's something I'm trying to work out, because you've just got your fingers in too many pies. You're trying to spread yourself out so much, and then you remember that back door's unlocked or the garage is unlocked, and you go, for God's sake, I'm the one that's going to have to go and lock it, or you know, you see next door's light go on and you shit yourself because you go, oh my God, there's nobody here to save me, they're going to come and kill me first. So it's all that just stupid things as well, like trying to remember what the kids need for school, and oh, you need £1 for the poppy, or you know, you need to order all your blooming meals and parent pay, and you're the one to do it because you feel like the more responsible one, and you know that you feel like you'd still be nagging him, oh, can you make sure you're doing this? Well, he should remember to do that sort of stuff. So if that answers your question.
And the other thing I wanted to, I mean, it's fine if you don't want to answer, but you mentioned about your eldest self-harming. How, I mean, as a parent, how do you even begin to navigate that?
It's a minefield. So school were very, very helpful. We did a lot of conversations with school and with the mental health team, the wellbeing team. They were brilliant, and yeah, we went to sort of local mental health teams as well and spoke with them, and they gave out all sorts of different bits of information, but it's trying to get that trust from your teenager, because I'd find things in a bedroom that she'd been using and be like, where on earth have you bought this from? You know, pencil sharpeners. How are you able to buy them in Sainsbury's when you can't buy other things? So I ended up writing an email to Sainsbury's saying you should have packaging on it that says not to be sold to under 16s or 18s, whatever it is. Whether it's changed, I don't know. But that sort of thing, how are you able to buy it? she's bought stuff from Shein, whatever you call it as well. She's bought them little eyebrow razors.
Yeah.
So I'd find like little stashes of them and be like, oh my god, I'm such a bad parent. Why is my child doing all of this? Touch wood, she's not done it for a very long time now. You know, we seem to be through the other side of that. But it's that huge parental guilt of, oh my god, why? What have I done? Is it because we split up? Is that why she's doing this? Is it cry for attention because I spend so much time with the little one? Is it because I'm so busy studying that she's not getting that attention? You just don't know.
And how did you find out about it? Did she tell you, or did you find something? Or...
Oh, I can't remember. It definitely going back way over a year though, but I think things have been building up with bullying at school.
Right, okay.
And her just absolutely despising going to school as well, and she just hates school. I can't remember how we found out, whether I noticed that my razor was missing, or that I found something in the bedroom or saw it on her arms. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But at one point, you know, she was all over her legs, her arms, everywhere. It was like surface level, quite superficial, but you could see it.
Yeah.
And then obviously, if you're out and about and you're going, what if people are judging me because of that? And like, oh my goodness. Because when we were kids, your mates might do it, but they cover them up with those little wristband thingies.
Yeah.
They'd only do a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So it was never, when I was a teenager and my friends had issues, it wasn't something that we went to.
Yeah.
So it was all quite new as a parent to see that kind of thing and go, what on earth do I do?
And I imagine it was quite terrifying, really, because it's, again, it is kind of out of your control, isn't it?
Oh, massively.
Like,
yeah.
What, you can't stop them. You can help them, you can support them and be there, but you can't actually stop them from doing it, can you?
And like I said before, take a phone off her, it might push her the other way, because that's her comfort. That, you know, not for the fact that she uses it to hang out with her friends and stuff, but because scrolling mindlessly on TikTok might take her mind off it.
Yeah.
Or play, alright, there's the algorithms and stuff on it, but playing on games that she plays on, like BitLife or something, she plays on that one, playing on all these games takes her mind off it, because she enters this alternate universe where it's away from reality. So she had to try and get me to understand that actually I need this to, you know, get my mind off it. And for so long I was always like, no, because mobile phones make them so much worse. And yes, they do, but also they can help. So it's, again, you feel like you're being completely judged all the time, that you shouldn't be on your phone all the time. Well, no, but it's helping her.
Yeah,
so
it's a catch-22 situation,
massively.
and this is why everything is so like nuanced, isn't it? Like it's so, every situation is so specific to each individual, because it's just, you know, it's what works for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there anything in your life that has shaped how you parent that you're happy to talk about? Any situations, circumstances that have affected this?
Certainly my marriage breakup has shaped how I parent. It changed everything. So I changed my job, because I was working at somewhere where I worked weekends all the time. But I had to change that, mainly to suit the children's timetable. I knew I couldn't continue working where I was once we parted ways, because there was no way I would be able to look after my kids and work where I was. Plus there was the whole, because we'd split up, and I'd been working at that place for about 9 years at that time, and I was like, everybody knows my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep working there, because I don't want you all to know what's been going on. So I was like, I just need to break away from it and have a completely new life, that kind of thing. But the dynamics now are that I parent every other week, so I have a full-on week with my kids, and then we swap over at a weekend, and then he has them for a full week. So completely 50-50.
Yeah.
Shared responsibility. So I have a full-on week with my kids, then the other week I have a full-on week tidying my house, putting everything together, working my socks off and putting extra effort in my job. So yeah, the other thing that's currently shaping our parent is homeschooling, because we've deregistered her from school.
Okay, talk to me about this.
Oh gosh, I've got loads to talk to you about. So it got to a point last school year, that school just wasn't working for her, and she was getting just really, really down with it. And we went, you know what, let's just go for it. Let's deregister. Let's see what happens. And I'd spoken with somebody I know locally who she'd deregistered her child recently as well, and she said, just go for it. It's the best thing we ever did. Mental health is just completely better. And here's a load of Facebook groups for you to sign up to that are local, that are national. There's actually loads of people out in Lancaster Morecambe area that homeschool, home educate. So we just went for it, and she seems to be doing all right with it. So for the last few weeks of the school term, she carried on doing the schoolwork that was still online with school, because she still had access to it. She doesn't anymore, but she was able to keep doing some of the schoolwork. And now I've been on loads of different websites, printed out various things. We're trying to figure out a routine, a timetable for her.
Yeah.
Figuring out what she wants to learn versus what she needs to learn, and just sort of navigating our way through that, really. So it's another minefield, but I've been through enough of them recently, so I might as well go through another one.
Oh. And does it feel quite daunting, or are you just happy that you've seen a bit of a difference in
I think to begin with it was really daunting, because again, it's the whole judgment, and you don't know if your own family members are going to judge you for making that decision, and because people are opinionated, and they only want what's best for her and for all of us, which I completely understand, and they understand that now, that since they've seen such a difference in her personality in the last 6 weeks, they're like, oh my God, you did make the right decision. That's the best thing you could have done for her. She's back to how she was.
Right.
But yeah, it was daunting at first, because I didn't know where to look, where the information might be, who to ask for help, what I needed to be doing, how many hours a day she needed to be doing, all of those kind of questions. But these Facebook groups have it all outlined for you. There's people there to ask questions to. I've asked questions to the girl I know, and we're going to meet up for a coffee at some point. So if you're listening, we will do that, promise. And yeah, seeing the difference that it's made in her just confirms that we've made the right decision. I think the next step now is, when we go back to schools in September, making sure that she sticks to that, because I still need to go to work, can't stay at home 24/7 with her. And like, grandparents are going to keep an eye on stuff, but it's making sure that she is making progress, and we are getting her in the right direction to eventually do her GCSEs. So,
and I mean, obviously I don't know your eldest or anything like that, but in my mind, as you're talking, like, to me, is that going to give her like more responsibility? She's obviously going to have to be responsible for her day and sticking to a routine and stuff, and for me, I think that's really important for them to learn. So is that going to be another kind of like a good thing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I reckon so. I mean, she's dealt with an awful lot in the last 5 years anyway, that she probably is a bit older than her years in a way, and because certainly since we've split up, she's helped out a lot more with looking after her little brother and stuff, and also, it's sometimes irritatingly, it's almost like she's the second parent. You know, there might be times, certainly this morning, where he's not doing what I've asked him to do, and she'll step in, and I go, right, hang on, you're not the parent, who's the parent here? And she's going, well, he's getting away with it, I would never get away with it. So she's sort of almost stepped into that second parent role unexpectedly, and definitely over the last few years we've had to say to her, look, you're not his parent, you're his sister, you're meant to be doing sister stuff with him. But she's only trying to help, so it's not, I can't get mad at her too much for it, because it does help sometimes, or if I need to just nip out, be like, just keep an eye on him. So it does help in that way, but it's finding that line, isn't it? So
And is your ex-husband on board with like the home schooling thing? Was he supportive of?
Yeah, I mean, we both have very similar values and always have done.
Okay.
Obviously in the last few years we do argue awful lot more than we ever used to.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm always right and he's not. Still. I doubt he'll listen to this. So. Yeah, he's been a lot more apprehensive, and he's always sort of been the stricter parent, whereas I'm much more of a anything for an easy life kind of person. But we've kind of found that mutual agreement that this is right for her because, well, look at her, she's so much happier. And I think it's been hard this last year trying to have the appointments at school and things because we've both been working, or one of us has had an appointment, then you've got to feed it back to the other parent. We've not been able to do it both together, and we still get on, so it's not like we can't be in the same room together. But to have those kind of appointments together is really difficult. So you're then relaying it, and he'll be like, oh yeah, that happened in that meeting, I forgot to tell you. Right, thanks, could have done with knowing that. But I do the same, so it's fine. But yeah, we're both on board with it. It works all right. And we're just trying to work out how it's going to work. Obviously, once September's back and she's back into a routine, she'll be then transporting things from my house to his house, and how it's going to work with that. And it's great fun.
It's all, everything's so complex, isn't it? What is your biggest value when it comes to parenting?
I've got a short answer for that. Probably that my kids are happy, safe and loved. And I think they are. Yeah. Maybe not always happy, but... the safe and the love. So 2 out of 3 is not bad.
I love that. I mean, there's not much we can really discuss on that, is there? So, what has been your biggest challenge so far?
This podcast. A parenting podcast. No, I think being honest and open is how I like to live. For so many years, I was a bit of a closed book and wouldn't really share things that were bothering, upsetting me, even with my closest friends. But as I'm getting older, I know how important it is to share my problems. But I think as well, by not having a significant other, I talk through a lot of my woes with my sisters, but they're probably bored of listening to me, so I'll just tell you lot instead. Now, I've also got a couple of WhatsApp groups with uni friends and with local friends that I went to sixth form with, and we tell each other everything in those, and that's probably my biggest support, apart from my family, is having those friends, because I was one of the first ones to have kids, so they're all now starting to have kids, so they're all toddlers, and I'm like, what do you do with little ones? Because all mine are growing up now. Yeah. So they're talking to each other about parenting advice and things, and I keep chipping in little bits, but obviously my parenting levels are up here, and it's very different parenting teenagers, and they'll be saying something about, toileting and stuff, and I go, this has happened today, and they go, oh my god, and there's us talking about this. And like, it's fine, don't worry, because in 10 years time you'll be going to this bit, and I'll be going, well, I am now at uni, so it swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, but it's good. It's always good to have that support, though, isn't it? You need it, and I think, did you find that, like you said, you didn't really talk to anyone? Did that have an effect on you? How did that kind of?
Yeah, because I think stuff going on in our marriage, because you don't talk to people about things going on in your marriage, but once it got to the point where we were splitting up, I had to tell them what had been going on, because I was like, I can't deal with this on my own. I need my friendships around me. Yeah. My parents were on holiday at the time, funnily enough, with his parents, because they're really good friends. So I was like, oh my god, this has happened. They were like, we're in Scotland. We're a bit far away. They're still close friends now. It's not changed anything there. Which kind of helps for us, because it's meant that we've had to maintain a bit of a friendship. But certainly having my friends around is exactly what I needed, and because they're from sort of different varieties. So I've got my uni friends from where I went to uni, like not round here, and then the girls from round here that they just got different opinions on things, different advice, different life experiences. So definitely recommend having lots of friends.
And I always think as well, again, it's personal, what works for you, isn't it? But I always find having lots of advice really helps. You don't ever have to take advice that someone gives you, but the more different advice you hear, I feel like you're able to, sometimes if something's not working, you need something else.
Yeah.
And the more advice you get, the more different options you can see, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think as well, just that not even people that you've been friends with for a long time, but people you pick up along the way. Like, I think the reason that I sort of found out about non-perfect parents is because we've got a mutual friend who's also done a podcast, and she might be able to figure out who I am. But she has been through fairly similar to me in the last few years. So we sort of reached out to each other around the same time and went, we're here for each other. Yeah. You know, she drops in little bits of advice every now and again, or, you know, chat to each other about things. It's quite nice that you've got support from other people that from different walks of life as well that have just come along the way.
It doesn't always have to be someone that you're like close friends with that you see all the time or whatever, and like quite often the same person will drop into my inbox with like a quote or something like that, and you know, and it just, knowing you've got support like that as well, it's not a constant necessarily, but it's just there if you need it. And you kind of know that they are thinking about you, even though you're maybe not meeting up for a coffee or seeing each other or whatever. Because I think we're kind of conditioned to think that you have a friendship group and you're all really close and you've grown up together and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that isn't the case for a lot of people, and it doesn't have to be like that. No. Like my group of friends, I have a very small circle, and they're not the people that I've kind of picked up along the way. Like one's
little waves and strays.
Like
be my friend.
Yeah, one's a close family friend. One's from college.
Yeah.
One we met through my husband, but they all know each other. We all get on, and we wouldn't necessarily like. I bring everyone together, and we would meet up, say if it's my birthday or something like that. But they're just all there, and it's not this what you see on Instagram of you know, we've gone all the way through school together and we know everything about it, like, and my kind of people now, like I couldn't do without them. They're my consistent support. They're always there. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is it doesn't have to be this thing, does it? And it can be, like we said about the friend that we know, it can just be someone. It doesn't have to be a big thing.
I mean, I'm very lucky that I'm really close with my mum and my dad and my sisters, so they've always been there for absolutely everything, and sort of I've got the friendship groups as well to sort of boost that as well. So yeah, I'm very fortunate in that I'm very close with them.
And it can be, while we're kind of talking about friendship, it can be hard to find friends that are the kind of friends that you need as well, can't they? I think friendship doesn't necessarily get discussed a lot in terms of it being other than like the stereotypical, oh well, you know, do you know what I mean, like what you see on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, like it, sometimes you meet people that aren't right for what you need, or sometimes you change or they change or you both change, and people come and go, and I think it's important to kind of know what you need and you know, spend your time with people that, not just because they've been there the whole time maybe, or just because they're a mum with a child the same age. You know, you need someone that gets you and that isn't going to judge you, and I mean, there's all sorts of stuff, isn't there, that you need or don't need, and that's
and that's definitely true of the two friendship groups that I've got. So the uni girls, there's 5 of us that all did, well, 3 of them did the same course, but we all did different courses. It's just that 3 of us lived together in the first year, and then we all lived together in the second year, and one girl lived next door. And this was 15 years ago, and we've all just we all live in totally different parts of the country, all got different jobs, different everything, but we all just work. You know, each one of us brings something different to the group, and it just works. And one of them went off to go and study to be a nurse a couple of years ago, and she was one of the main reasons that I was like, you know what, if she can do it and she can hold a family down and look after a house and do all of that whilst studying, I can do it.
Yeah.
So that kind of gave me the motivation to go, no, I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to go back to uni. I'm going to make something in my life.
Yeah.
So, it works. Each friendship group just gives you something different.
What do you wish you could change about parenting in general, as in for everyone?
I think to just let kids be kids and to play more. And I think I'm just as bad, but I like to blame it on being a single parent, because sometimes you just need to have that like separation in a way, and go off and do your own thing, because I need to just be me for a bit. I feel like there's twice, I think I'm repeating myself, but there's twice as much of everything to do as a single parent, because it's you doing everything. You take on so much more responsibility, reminding the ex about a dress down Friday or money for a poppy or something, because you'd feel guilty if he forgot and your child was left out, which has happened once or twice, which is now I try not to nag, but sometimes you have to. But in summary, I feel like I take on too much of the full-time parenting role, and I don't have time to be the fun parent. So taking them out places, going swimming, playing in the park. I want to be more present, but it's just so hard to find the time when all the responsibility is on me, and we put too much pressure on ourselves. I just haven't figured out how to let stuff go. But yeah, I've sort of changed that.
Yeah, and do you know what? I really, really, really agree with that, and that's something that I'm also trying to do. Is I'm trying to simplify life, just so that we can do the things we want to do and not be bogged down by the load. But like you say, it is really hard to know what to drop, isn't it? Or to even just drop it, and when you, and me and my friend have discussed this recently, of when you're in the thick of everything and you're just in your routine and you use your routine to keep you going, so to then suddenly switch that routine up, that's like a massive thing, isn't it? You can't drop anything, because that's literally what's keeping you going.
And I think for us as well, because we know that we swap over on a weekend, so by Wednesday I need to be getting stuff washed, because we haven't got the funds to be able to have a wardrobe at each house. So, well, not for the little one, because he gets hand-me-downs still, but for the teenager, we can't afford to keep buying two of everything, or for her to have a full wardrobe at each house, which is one of the goals once I'm sort of in full-time work and stuff, that right, that's fine, you want that hoodie, I'll get that hoodie, you can keep it in my house. But for the moment, she's having to take a suitcase. She's done that for the last 4 years, bless her.
I imagine the dynamic of that is quite hard to coordinate as well, isn't it? Because even if you have, say, a wardrobe at each house, then you've still got something swapping over. And
it's hard on her as well, and she said it in the past, like, oh, you don't understand, you've never had to switch houses every week, and right, well, if it works for you, let's do it every 2 weeks. And maybe not for your little brother, but for you can do every 2 weeks with mum, every 2 weeks with dad. We've never got to that point, but the offer is there, because we always said we'll just do whatever works for them, and so far, touch wood, it's worked doing 1 week on, 1 week off. And we are both flexible with it. If I've got a Saturday that I need him to have them, right, can you have them an extra day? Yeah, not a problem, and I'll do the same for him. I've learnt to be more flexible to him over the years, and flexible to myself, because if I swings around, works both ways. But she's definitely found it hard sometimes, especially when it's she's been having a tough time. That then makes everything else so much bigger for her as well. So you just got to do what's best for them, really. But definitely with the routine, as I was saying, on a Wednesday, if I've not got my washing done for her, it won't be dried in time for Saturday. So then you're just constantly catching up with yourself.
And that's like an extra pressure on you. But then obviously you're just trying to do what she needs. But then that pressure on you, it's like a vicious cycle.
Absolutely,
really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's not really anything else that you can do with that, is that? That's just something that...
No, you're just going to have to sit it out until I've got some more money and we can buy nice things.
And I just kind of want to touch a little bit on as well, of a few comments that you've said about guilt. Do you feel quite a bit of guilt in terms of your parenting over things, or,
Yeah, I think, but that comes as soon as you're a parent, though. You get guilt with everything, don't you?
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, I was talking to my mum earlier about guilt, because it's my birthday next week, and she's saying about, oh, what do you want to do for your birthday? I'm like, well, I don't know, because I can't afford to bring the kids along with me. It's not payday yet. I hate when my birthday's at the end of the month and you don't get paid until the week after. But I'm like, I want to do things with the kids, but I can't afford to. But then there's that parental guilt of, but I want to spend time with my kids, but I can't, you know, and it's just guilt all the time. Guilt.
Yeah. And I think it's important, though, to kind of remember, like, you know, are you doing your best? Because that's all you can do.
Yeah.
All you can do is your best, and there's always going to be something, I think, isn't there, that we can't do or we're going to feel guilty for. But as long as you're, from what you've said to me, I'm getting the thing that you are doing literally everything that you possibly can.
Thanks. I like to think
to you know.
Well, you wing it, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Everybody's winging it. I said that to one of the girls in the group chat the other day. We were talking about it because we talk about parenting all the time, you know. And yeah, we said, well, we're just winging it. Everybody's winging it. You make it up as you go along. The kids don't know the rule book.
No, that's it. And I think, like, you know, we say we're winging it, and it's like a thing. It's like, oh, we're winging it, and we kind of sell ourselves a bit short because we say we're winging it when that is life.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't actually, like, a way of life where you're not winging it, is there? Like, I don't know a way of life where I'm not winging it. And everyone I speak to is the same. It's because there is no rule book.
No.
There is
but then you get all these baby books and the pregnancy books and the toddler books and no teenager books.
Consumerism.
I suppose by the time you got past the toddler, you're just like, that's fine. We're doing all right.
Yeah. And I know there is more, like, accounts on Facebook and Instagram now for teens.
Oh yeah, no, there are, because my sister sent me, because she's got teenagers. So she sent me an Instagram that I like to follow, and they have nice, like, supportive posts and stuff that I sometimes screenshot and send to my teenager. You know, the ones that are like, teen, you're doing wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, you know, all the motivational stuff. I'm like, just send her some nice things every now and again. And then she's like, why are you sending me that?
Literally, like, or you just get ignored. The tick's gone, so it's been read, and then that's it. You don't get anything else. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great, thanks for that.
Just a sarcastic thumb up.
Maybe that's why there's no book. There is no way to parent teens, is there? You've just like...
No one's brave enough to do a book.
No.
Because the teenagers would just go, why have you done that?
Yeah. They'd hear about it, wouldn't they? And then they'd just switch everything up. Just so that everything in the book is wrong.
Yeah, they'd be like, hey, these parents have written this stupid book. Why don't we just do everything opposite? Maybe that's what's happened and we just don't realise. Teenagers are taking over the world.
To be fair though, like, who would want to be a teen in today's life?
No, I wouldn't.
It's intense, and I think, like, I know teens get a lot of stick, don't they? And it's hard. There's hormones, their brains are changing. There's all sorts of, like, science behind it, isn't there? But they are going through a lot, and I feel like as a parent, I've always kind of played the long game. My husband isn't on board with this. Like, he likes whatever's easiest at the time. But I'm always playing the long game, and I'm trying to set the foundations, I always think too far ahead. That's my thing of, I don't think enough in front, I think too far ahead.
So you're planning Christmas already then?
Yeah, well, not quite. I'm on to autumn. But, and I always, like, I think if you set the foundations and try and set the foundations and stuff when they're smaller, that sets you in a little bit of good stead as they're older, but that's not easy to do, because when, like we've said before, when you're in the thick of it, you can't often see anything else than that, can you? And I think a lot of my stuff has come because of the job that I did, and, like, I kind of had an idea around development and stuff like that, but I can't remember where I was going with this or what I started with, but teens get a lot of stick, but it's really, really hard to be a teen, and as parents, we're just as lost as them. I think
there's too much information out there for them, though. Like, when we were teenagers, Yeah, we had phones, but you didn't have Facebook on it. You didn't have Insta. You didn't have any of the apps.
Yeah.
It was just for messaging.
Yeah.
Or playing Snake.
Yeah.
So you had to go out and hang out with your friends, or, you know, chat on MSN with them. I suppose it all started there, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it wasn't, you didn't have all those pressures of all that. Like, I'm going back to what I said before, like, yes, social media and stuff and phones are detrimental, but there also are positives to it. And that same sort of thing is that they have too much information out there.
Yeah.
That once they look at one video, the algorithms just throw even more at them.
And that's where it's so wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you say, the phones and social media can be great, and I feel like, you know, the creative side, like to keep the minds distracted and all that they're amazing, but the things like the algorithms, the fact that they can ban certain stuff but not other. There's so much to it that it could be done in a way that makes them nowhere near as dangerous.
Yeah, I think they definitely need to be more accountable than they are.
Yeah, and there is just too much information out there on everything.
Yeah, because I mean, you go looking for something yourself and you met with pages and pages of information.
It's
you go, I don't know where to look.
isn't it? Yeah. It is. And this is it, like with parenting advice. Like, I know I've said recently, like, I've tried to just stay quiet because it just feels like there's so much out there. You just go on and even like searching on the internet or Instagram, Facebook, and there's just post after post, and like you say, it's like, whoa, like where do I even start with this? It's too much.
Yeah, and they can't work out how to sort of filter it down a bit to what they need.
Yeah.
And can just spend, like with all just spend hours and hours scrolling through.
Well, that's it. Like, as adults, how many of us do that? So how can we expect?
Yeah, but then you get the mum guilt of, oh, I've not made tea yet. Right, okay, we'll just get takeaway. So again, mum guilt.
And that's where we need to cut ourselves some slack, isn't it? And to say we're human, like, you know, it is what it is. We don't have to kind of follow this structured mum persona. Like, you know, I think it's good to be a little bit messy.
Messy parenting, that's a new one.
Yeah, I think I've just invented something. We've gone off on a bit of a tangent there. Is there anything else that you want to add before we finish?
I don't think so.
Okay, if you've enjoyed this episode and our tangents, please don't forget to follow, share with other parents you know, and if you could leave a review on whichever app you're listening on, that would be amazing. A new episode is usually released every Monday, and if you follow or subscribe, you'll get a notification to tell you when a new episode is live. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please get in touch via any of my social media channels, website or email. Thank you for joining me on today's podcast. It's been great to have you, and thank you to everyone for listening.